This week, we'll take a look at another muscle up technique. We'll also look at some strength pieces for our arms, for our core, for our dips, our pull-ups. We will work on some shoulder prehab, and then we'll finish up with some extra work that you can do when you have the extra time. So let's get started. For this week's technique piece, we're going to do muscle up negatives. For muscle up negatives, you want to start at the top of the muscle up where you finish your dip, and you're going to slowly lower yourself down into the full holding position on the rings. So you start at the top of the dip and you go down to where you're hanging on the rings. But you want to go as slow as possible. For our technique piece this week, we'll do 3 rounds of 5 muscle up negatives. One way to scale the muscle up negatives is to do it from a standing position. You'll want to start with your arms straight and your feet out in front of you. And then as you lower yourself, you want to take your time. Count out 5 seconds, even longer if you can, to make it as slow as possible. You're trying to use the eccentric movement to build that muscle. So you want to come down real close, nice and slow. And lower yourself to the ground. Try to follow your rib cage nice and slow. Don't let your arms be out wide and put your shoulders at risk. But as you go into that muscle up negative and you make the transition from up here to down below, here's going to get real hard, so keep the wrists close to the body and the rings close to the body, and then fall down into that full extension. For the muscle up negatives, we'll do 3 rounds of 5 negatives. And the idea here is to lower yourself down as slow as you can to build those muscles up. This is what it will look like. What you want to do is lower yourself as slow as you possibly can. You might start out with a 3-second count and then be able to move up to a 5-second count, and then if you're really good at this, maybe even a 10-second slow descend out of the muscle up. If doing this is a little bit too hard, you can always add a band in to help lower yourself down in a little more controlled manner, and then you can build up to not needing a band. So in summary, we'll do 3 rounds of 5 muscle up negatives. For this week's strength piece, we will do 12 planking weight slides, 6 towel pulls, and 3 Russian dips. Let's take a look at what those are. Our first movement is the 12 planking weight slides. You just simply need to grab a weight and stick it in front of you. Get your body into a plank. Try to keep your body as straight as you can rather than swaying your back or sticking your butt in the air. Do your best to keep your body in a straight line. And then all you need to do is move the weight from side to side while you hold your plank. To add a little bit of difficulty, just go up in weight. As you continue to add weight, Make sure you focus on form, keep your core tight, tighten your butt, and try and maintain that nice, flat, consistent plank. Our next movement is the towel pull. Just simply take a towel, you can chalk it up for better grip, and you're gonna throw it over a bar. And then as you do the pull or the pull up, you wanna make sure that you try and keep a hollow body hold, and you want your chin to clear your hands. And it will look like this. Another option to the towel pull is using ropes. You can pick up some rope at a hardware store, chop it off and then burn it so that it doesn't fray. And then secure on here a tie that you can hook to your bar above. And then you can use this just like the towel pull. Again, what you want to do is hold your body in that hollow rock position and pull yourself up, get your chin past your hands, and descend under control, and then repeat. Our next movement is the Russian dip. What you want to do with the Russian dip is set up some boxes, some pads for your arms and your elbows. You start out in a position where your arms are flat on a box, and then you pull yourself up into a dip position. To scale this movement, lower your boxes and stick your feet out in front of you, and then use your legs to help get up and down. And that's what we'll do for our strength piece this week. In summary, our strength component for this week is 5 rounds of 12 planking lateral weight slides, 6 towel pulls, and 3 Russian dips. All right, let's move on to our shoulder prehab. We will be focusing on what's called the YTWL shoulder movements. Let's take a look at what those are. For the Y part of the movement, what you want to do is grab yourself a couple of weights. It could be little weights like this, or you could grab some dumbbells, whatever, just some weights in your hand. Get your feet underneath of your body, and then a little bit of a bend at your knees, a little bit of a bend at your hips. For the Y part, what you want to do is take your arms up into the Y position. You want to make sure that you drop your shoulders down, put your shoulder blades in your back pocket, rather than having your shoulders up by your ears. Let's look at that again. For each movement, you want to raise the weight up and do a 2-second pause. Next, let's take a look at what the T is going to look like. Again, you want your feet underneath your body, a little bend at your knees, a little bend at the hips, and the weight's going to come up at your sides. With the T, be careful that you don't bring your arms back, not like you're flying through the air, but up at your sides. You should be able to see them out of the corner of your eyes. All right, now let's take a look at the W. Again, your feet underneath your body, bend at the knees, a little bend at the hips. You want to get your arms into a W-looking shape. And then you're going to close that W down and open it back up. Again, drop your shoulders, put your shoulder blades in your back pocket, close the W, open it back up. 2-second pause at the top. The last movement is the L. Feet under your body, bend at the knees, bend at the hips, weight straight down. You're going to bring your arms up, your elbows up, kind of like a scarecrow, and then rotate that weight. Rotate the weight back down and lower your arms. In summary, we're going to do 2 rounds of these movements. Each movement will have 8 reps with a 2-second hold. For this week's extra work, we're going to do 3 rounds where we focus on a couple of movements. 45 seconds work, 15 seconds rest. The movements will focus on our wrist mobility. We'll also work with dips, and then we'll work with our core. Our 3 rounds of movements will be the following. We're going to do a palm up, side to side stretch, and then we'll do palm pulses, lifting your palms up over and over. And then we'll do bench dips, and then we'll do circle hollow rocks. So let's take a look at what those are. Our first movement is palm heel up and a stretch side to side. What you want to do is place your hands flat on the ground in front of you. Spread your fingers out nice and wide and press down on the ground with your fingers. Lift your palms up and then rotate your hands out to the sides and then back into the middle. Out to the sides and back into the middle. You can also rotate to the right and then rotate to the left. Rotate to the right, rotate to the left. That's our first movement. Our next movement is the palm pulse. For the palm pulse, you want to sit up the same way where you have your hands flat on the ground. Press down with your fingers and then lift the heel of your palm up, and then you want to go back down. Lift your heel up and back down. Heel up, and all the while trying to press your fingers into the ground. Next, let's take a look at our bench dips. For the bench dip, you'll want to take the palms of your hand and stick them on the edge of a bench or a chair or a couch and let your fingers drape over the edge. Then take your feet and place them out in front of you and lower your body as low as you can go. And then straighten your arms back out. To make it a little bit easier, bring your feet in a little bit and let your knees bend. And if that's still a little bit too hard for you, or your flexibility doesn't allow your body to go in that movement, then bring your legs in even further and it'll be a little bit easier to do. Our last movement is hollow rocks. So what a hollow rock looks like is you will want to get your body into the hollow position, and then as you rock, rather than staying in one spot, you're going to slowly rotate around in a circle. Once you make a full circle, go the other direction. That's it for our extra work this week. In summary, it will be 3 rounds, 45 seconds of work, 15 seconds rest. And the movements are palm, heel up, side to side, palm pulses, bench dips, and hollow rock. All right, that's everything for this week. We're now finishing up week number 8. We only have 2 weeks left in this series. We have 1 more week where we'll do our normal routine, and then the final week is full-on muscle ups. So we'll see you next week.